Hi, welcome to the Structural Insulated Panel Association series on Building with SIPs, What You Need to Know. Now, this is based on our Building with SIPs Need to Know brochure, a free downloadable brochure available at sips.org. Today, we are going to be talking about plumbing with Al Cobb, who is our resident SIP expert, owner of SIP School down in West Virginia, and a building science educator. Al, take it away.
So much of the plumbing is not doesn't even interface with the SIPs that it's usually not an issue. That's a much bigger deal when we start talking about electrical and electricians, as we did in the previous video. But from the plumbing aspect, I just don't see it as being a really big deal. Give them the heads up on what's required. Show them this video. Show them the brochure. Pre-plan and think about where your vent stacks are going to go. And 9 times out of 10, the plumber's going to go, SIPs are simple. I got it. We can keep plumbing out of a SIP panel. Everybody's going to be happier. The panel's going to perform better. It's easier in terms of the plumber's work for roughing in the plumbing. And this goes back to what we talked about in the electrical chapter at 9, which was planning. Running of pipes needs to be thought about in the planning phases to know where plumbing might be needed. Trying to keep it out of exterior walls means that we need to utilize interior walls as much as possible. Much like we have Studer vents or air admission valves in island kitchen sinks, we also can use those on exterior walls, such that we have a vent right below the kitchen sink and then move that vent line over to an interior or adjacent interior wall to get where that needs to be. But the biggest reason is just keep the plumbing out of exterior walls. Anybody that lives in Minnesota knows you don't want plumbing in your exterior walls anyway, or you're going to be paying for it after the first hard freeze. If that cold gets to your plumbing lines and starts freezing them up. We don't worry about that in the South, but it's still good practice to keep things out of the exterior walls. That's really the biggest key point when going with plumbing. If we have an area where that plumbing does in fact need to go in the exterior wall because there just is no other option, there is no interior partition, then that's where we combine either exterior conventional framing in conjunction with the SIP, or we create what we call a wet wall, where we frame an interior partition just to the inside of the SIP wall. And now the plumber, much like the electrician, can work in a stick-framed assembly where they're used to operating, and all of their work and their plumbing stacks, supplies, everything can be done in a conventionally framed wall just set to the inside of the SIP panel. So many of the buildings that I work on also take advantage of south facing, either solar passive design or solar panels. It's always a good idea to keep your vent stacks off of the south facing facade of your structure, so that if solar panels ever going to be attached to the roof, they don't have to work around vents. So put the vent stacks over on the north side of your roof at all possible. Makes a whole lot of sense. It's incumbent upon the contractor or somebody to make sure that sealing is done properly around that penetration of the SIP roof. And in all things where a penetration does go through a SIP wall or roof, I always recommend that it be at least 1 inch larger than whatever's penetrating through the SIP assembly. And that way you have a good ½ inch gap all the way around the pipe or whatever it is it's going through, conduit, whatever it might be, to allow for proper expanding foam to be injected and seal that joint properly.
Thanks, Al. To learn more about Al Cobb and Al Cobb SIP School in West Virginia and the in-person and virtual trainings, visit sipschool.org. In addition to the free downloadable Building with SIPs Need to Know and Best Practices brochures, SIPA also offers a 10-hour course that will help you become a SIP certified builder. Like I said, it's between 8 and 10 hours, and you can take it at your leisure. I mean, we have everything you need to help you get up and running as a SIP builder. So tune back because we'll have more deep dives with Al Cobb coming soon.